She was called to the bar in 2005 and authorised to practice an attorney at law by the Supreme Court in 2005. In the capacity of a human rights lawyer, she was involved in a number of high-profile cases and also worked for a number of reputable human rights organisations in Sri Lanka. She has represented and assisted many Tamils who were detained under the new, or the most draconian law of Sri Lanka, which is known as the Prevention of Terrorism Act, the PTA. As a result of her brave activities and openly challenging the human rights violations, she herself faced persecution and was forced to leave Sri Lanka, as no doubt a number of people in this audience were too. After arriving in the UK, she successfully completed her Masters of Law in 2011 at the University of John Moores, Liverpool. She is currently working as a volunteer researcher with the Tamil Information Centre and the International Prosecution and Prevention of Genocide, all of which many people in this audience will know. She relentlessly works to gather testimonies from the survivors of genocide in Sri Lanka. We've seen the T-shirts, May 18, 2009, and continues to make submissions to the United Nations Human Rights Commission on behalf of the victims. I'd like to welcome you. A round of applause for Melani, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I must thank you for inviting me to this event and giving me a golden opportunity to speak before you today. Coming from the majority Sinhalese community in Sri Lanka, I am proud to be here to support when we struggle in self-determination and justice for the oppressed. I must especially thank you for the National Liberal Party who sponsors Nations Without States to host this very important event. As a human rights lawyer, I have represented and assisted number of Tamils detained under the Prevention of Terrorist Act, which is known as PTA, the most draconian act, specially designed to suppress the freedom struggle of Tamils in Sri Lanka. Tamil people in Sri Lanka are denied of their right to self-determination. They have been subject to a genocide since independence in February 1948. History of Sri Lanka confirms that the Tamils existed for more than 3,000 years in Sri Lanka. Therefore, their right to self-rule is legitimate. As Professor Paul E. Peary stated, the Tamils continued their rule until 1833, when the British invaded Sri Lanka and destroyed their kingdoms. The British united the island for their own administrative ways. This ended the sovereignty of Tamils in north and east of Sri Lanka. When the British left in Sri Lanka in 1948, they acted in the most irresponsible way and handed the power to the majority Sinhalese. This is called the Independence Day of Sri Lanka. But this is the inauguration day of Tamil genocide in Sri Lanka. Since this day, the Sri Lankan successive government embarked on a program of discrimination, marginalization, Sinhalization, Buddhicalization, on aiming at assimilations, disintegrations, and ultimate disappearances of Tamils as a race and nationals in Sri Lanka. The discriminatory legislations introduced by Sri Lankan government triggered the Tamils to realize their need for self-determination. The Sinhala Only Act in 1956 and the Standardizations Act in 1972 further relegated the Tamil language, with the Tamil students being denied of admissions to universities, leaving them angry and frustrated. However, the non-violent struggles of Tamils were suppressed by the violent riots. In 1956, in 1958, in 1971, in 1977, and in 1983, the mass massacres directed against the Tamils in all parts of the island by the security forces, with the blessing and support of the state. These were aimed to make them feel as unwanted, inferior citizens or aliens in their own country. The crushing of non-violent agitations with brutal force forced the Tamils to restore in violence as for self-defense. Finally, the Tamils were forced to take arms as their last resort and fight for their existence. The freedom struggle led by Liberation Tigers of Tamil Nadu, LTTE, was portrayed as terrorism by the Sri Lankan government. The West was also misled and made hostile at LTTE as terrorists. Against terrorism, the Sri Lankan government mercilessly killed more than 140,000 innocent Tamils. The violation committed during the war perfectly fulfilled the legal requirements of the crimes of genocide. The draconian Prevention of Terrorist Act specially targets the rebelling Tamil youth. The Sixth Amendment of the Sri Lankan Constitution criminalizes anyone who speaks about independence or separate state. These were aimed to deny the right of self-determination to the Tamil people in Sri Lanka and silence for their mouth, silence for their voice for freedom. The Tamils are now left to ensure their existence with no other alternative but to resort to the right of self-determination granted by the UN Covenant. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948, has its preamble even endorsed the rights of rebellion against tyranny and repression, so that human rights should be protected by the rules of law. The Tamils in Sri Lanka fail to call for their right of self-determination now, their very existence will be in question. We must call for a referendum to determine the political status of Tamil people in Sri Lanka. Tamil cannot afford to suffer the systematic genocide any longer. Hoping for justice for the UN and international community will not be sufficient. Tamils must continue to fight to ensure their survival and preservation of its culture, language, history, and religions in Sri Lanka. I'm shocked to see that some Tamil organizations, such as British Tamil Forum, BTF, and the Global Tamil Forum, GTF, began to dance to the tune of the Sri Lankan government. And then they began to betray their own people. This situation must need to be changed. Tamils of Sri Lanka need the support from the other nationals and organizations, such as NLP and NWS. In conclusion, I hereby promise you that we, the Sinhalese brothers and sisters, we follow Lord Buddha genuinely. We'll stand by you in your struggle for self-determination. Thank you all again.